Could you talk a little bit about why wholesaling has come under fire, how that affects you guys, and your honest thoughts on all the spotlight on wholesaling right now?
Well, I think there's a reason you don't assign, right?
Well, I think it's a shady thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of shadiness that happens in this industry.
Yeah, wholesalers are always trying to cover up the fact they're assigning it.
And I think that's the difference is my group has never shied away from the fact that this is not a charity. It's not UNICEF. We make money.
Yeah.
Okay. So you sell it to us. It's in our contract. You're
You're
selling.
not an NGO?
No, hell no. You acknowledge that you're selling this at a discount and that we're going to sell this at a profit. That is in our contract. We could not disclose that in more black and white terms if we tried.
Right.
And that's what I think what a lot of people do is they think that's such a nasty thing and such a dirty thing to talk about instead of just saying, "Do you want the money or not? Sign this. Do you want the money or not? Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing with it."
Right. A seller shows up, closing day, and they're like, "What's this fee on other miscellaneous 93,000?" Right. What does that go to?
So Clay and I have made that mistake among the many years we've been doing this with trying to kind of tiptoe around. Everyone does it. Everyone's spooked about commission and what they're going to disclose and who's this and. It's like, man, the more transparent you can be about all these things, the easier life becomes.
Yeah.
And then it's, at least the objection that you need to overcome with this.
So what are the new rules and regulations, if any? Because I've heard discussions of this.
I'm not an attorney. Talk to your people, get your advisors. That being said, it's always better to be licensed, I think, in every possible regard. I think there are arguments to be made on who needs to be licensed and why they need to be licensed. But if you're going to wholesale real estate, or operate or quasi-represent someone or do something that could be imagined or interpreted in court that you're representing someone, probably better to be licensed. So every state that we're in, we're licensed in. So we're licensed in Ohio, we're licensed in Kentucky, we're licensed in Indiana, we're licensed in Tennessee. We don't operate there, but that's one of our prerequisites to going into that market is getting our license. For Indiana specifically, you're supposed to have a license.
Right.
And there are going to be people that chirp about this and say you're not necessarily right. And sure, you can twist any, bill around as whatever you want it to be, but it's not been challenged in court yet. There's no, case law to really point to. But if you're going to get into this and you're going to do it full time and make this not a side hustle, but a business, you're an idiot if you don't get licensed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think there's competency that needs to be a prerequisite of being licensed. Like my favorite is when the wholesaler says, "I don't need to be licensed," and then they send over a PA written under somebody else's name.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, you don't need to be licensed, but you're using whoever to, covering behind your leader of whatever group.
It's an odd thing because I think to answer your question a little bit more thoroughly, anyone with an internet connection and a clipboard can wholesale a house.
Right.
I mean,
they're still trying to.
The equation is not a difficult one to follow. Sell for more than you make, right? I mean, any jerk can go knock on doors and do it. Which is good, but it's also bad for a lot of the good actors in this side of things.
Well, and I felt it when I got started, which was 21 and 22, my phone was being blown up and I had to ask, are you actually the one that has the money to buy this property? Are you actually the investor?
Yeah.
Or are you just trying to wholesale it?
Yeah.
And every other call was a wholesaler. Mm-hmm. Wholesaling on the market in Indy was the thing that California startup bros wanted to do. They were all from California.
YouTube University made that nasty, yeah.
Right. But now, I rarely get those calls anymore. So I think something has shifted where it's starting to become you're either doing this the right way with a license above board.
Well, yeah, what shifted is we had the lowest transactions nationally in the past decade, right? So
maybe it'll come back.
There's less buyers. Where what you're referring to, 21, yeah, you could pick up anything for 90 and sell it for 120
because it would have appreciated by 1 month in. $5,000.
Money fell from the sky. We joke about 21 and 22 to this day in our office, but again, we've been rooting on regulation.
Literally did fall from the sky. There was 29 trillion injected into the economy. But yeah,
I don't care where it comes from, man. Money shows up. Everyone's
now we're paying
happy.
the consequences of that, but with inflation.
But and we all feel it. But there are a handful of the good guys who do this, professionally, who are rooting on regulation in a big way. So we're not protesting any part of, hey, wholesalers need to be licensed. Wholesalers should be held accountable to X, Y, and Z. Compliance is a big deal in this industry because you don't want people to get cheated out of their biggest asset. You want to make sure you're providing a fair assessment of what you're capable of and being compensated adequately. So we're confident we're doing that, and we're paying a lot of attention to compliance as it continues to build over the the national landscape.
And I think that is where the misconception comes from, right? Because YouTube University, anybody could watch. I could ask you a question that's basic level of how can I get started in wholesaling? Well, you told me you wrote earnest money. You went and did the thing, fell into it. That's how most get started. But the reality is, people go, Evan, you're buying for, I'm going to sell this to you for 100, and you're telling me that that's like the best I can get, right? But I'm pressed in a scenario that I need my equity to unlock to go do X, Y, or Z. And then you turn around and sell for 120, and I'm like, oh man, screw that guy. I could have got 120. No, you couldn't have, because you would have had to wait the same amount of time that we did. You would have had to go through the process. We closed in 7 days and you were gone. In speed, just like you said, the pawn shop's necessary for everybody. So I'm all for it. It just does piss me off when I'm trying to buy deep and you guys make your but I have to go find my own deals, right? Because you got scrappy. That's why I'm going to you.
And just like every other industry, that's what I've said for a long time. Is this is not a unique thing.
Yeah,
wholesaling is not unique. There's a wholesale industry that exists for every industry in the world, down to where you find your milk.
Yeah.
Well, and I have bought a deal from you guys. I worked with Devin. He's no longer with you.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But he was very transparent with me. Like, I walked in and I did my own inspection before I wrote it. And I was like, hey man, there's knob and tube everywhere. Can we come down 5,000 or 10,000? I can't remember what it was. And he was like, yeah, man, we're just trying to make, maybe this was not what he was supposed to do in your company.
I'm learning a lot here. Yeah.
He was like, yeah, man, he did. I don't know if he said this later after the fact. It could have been, but he did like lower the price 5,000 or whatever for the knob and tube. And then I found out later, like he was like, yeah, we made what our target is, which is 15,000. And that gave me knowledge of like, okay, obviously they're going to try to make like 30, 40, whatever they can, whatever the market dictates, but there's a minimum that covers their cost of doing business and making a profit, which in that case was 50. Maybe I should not say this on air. Maybe you'll want me to take this out, but I noticed there was some wiggle room, but you could have said, screw off, we're already at 15, and I would have had to suck it up. But like, there was a discussion there. And I appreciated that transparency.
Well, there's a true negotiation is what you're articulating, right? Which is what free market should be.
And that's really what I said. There's no right answer to the equation. The market is the right answer. And the market's undefeated and always will be.
Right.
So the fact that you were there and you made a good impression on Devin, and Devin was willing to negotiate.
Well, this was this property I thought as is was worth 120. You guys pushed it out at like 115, 110. Maybe I got it for 105, 110. I can't remember. But I had immediate equity upon buying that.
That's great.
It would have been multiple offers on the market. I wouldn't have even got it. I would have lost to some cash buyer from out of state. So like, I had a really good experience, but that was my 4th property I bought, maybe, or including my own homes, like my 6th property I'd bought. So I knew what to look for, and I had the balls basically to go buy from a wholesaler off market. What would your advice be to like a first time investor, maybe they're out of state, maybe locally? Would you say like, yeah, come and buy a mainstay off market deal or not?
No, hell no. I think it's it's that was kind of aggressive. No,
don't shop with us.
We do not want your business. Stay away.
It wasn't a leading question. I was genuinely curious.
That's a good question, and I think it's worth saying out loud that first time folks are better suited to not get as good of a deal. And in my opinion, that's what the difference between off market and on market. If it's on market, everyone sees it, you're gonna get a worse deal. I think that's just inherent in our discussion in our industry. So if you shop on the market, if you go on Zillow.com, talk to your realtor, go through the thing, get an inspection, have a negotiation, get a loan, you're gonna get a worse deal. Like, there's too many other things happening to where you could even potentially go off market to get a better deal. But if you can do that in your first round, kind of see how the thing works, I think that's important.
Yeah.
We've had a handful of folks just step in a bear trap where, they go and they sign the agreement, $5,000 in earnest money, inspection comes back, knob and tube everywhere. And
so they actually got an inspection even
after the fact. Sure. And it really depends. Some folks want to have it ahead of time, and then they lose the deal and they're pissed off. They spent $600 on an inspection. And
like, these are rapid transactions. It's like oftentimes sight unseen. Like, you don't know much about it. Like, you're just taking that risk for that 20K margin. So I think that just has to be understood.
Some folks will, and I think it's best understood. That process is best understood with your first soiree being an on-market transaction.
Right.
Someone to handhold, someone to show you this. You have 21 days to make a decision about an inspection response instead of you're closing in 4 days, sight unseen, right? It's just, different. It's different speeds.
Yep.
So learn how it works on an on market deal, number one, and then once you figure it out, like, you're going to be coming to us regardless because they're just objectively better deals there.